healing modalities into our Western conventional medicine. Of course, I would apply in my thinking and in my practice to some extent some of these ideas in the world of diabetes. So when Doris Graves asked me to speak here, I was like, I don't know, what should I speak about? I thought I would speak about this. First of all, I'll just sort of give you kind of an introduction to the concept of utilizing mind-body approaches in diabetes and what it is anyway, what is mind-body and integrated medicine, and then show you some data both from studies that we've done at USC and also that are in the literature suggesting that applying this to people and working with folks with diabetes with these modalities can not only improve glucose control and A1C, but also overall health issues. So, just in terms of my my interest in integrative medicine, I'm also leading an effort at USC to develop a center for integrative health, and we actually started that a year ago. So that's where that hat is taking me. So just to fill in. And it's so good to be back at camp here. I spent many years at Camp Chinook, but it's been a long time since I was here. I was back in the mid to late 90s, and now it's great to be back.
Next summer.
Next summer, I'm already being recruited. Well, Doris will tell you every spring it comes around, maybe I should come back to camp this summer. You know, maybe I should come back to camp this summer. All right. So what is integrative medicine? So what many people feel one potential definition is if you take conventional medicine and you add CAM, complementary alternative medicine. So you put them together, you integrate them. That's integrated medicine, and these are just some of the complementary alternative modalities. So I visualize that this is the caduceus, the staff of Mercury, the messenger of the gods. And so the two snakes I see is one is conventional medicine, you know, going its way up the staff, and the other is the alternative complementary, and they meet together. But there's another definition which I kind of like better, which is really a medicine of the whole person, seeing a human being is more than just the physiology and the biology, the biological illness or disease, but also incorporating elements of mind and psychology and emotion and spirit into one's approach and integrating all those things as one. So it's not really separate. So this is really most obvious in traditional forms of healing, whole systems approaches such as Chinese medicine, Ayurveda from India, indigenous people's medicine, so in this continent, the Native American approach, and then also in South America, and there's a whole other, Thai, and Ayurveda probably falls into this. But you can also think about this even in the Western model. There's a way to look at this as what I call conjunctive use, or using the CAM modalities along with the allopathic. So it's not one or the other, but really integrating them together. Okay? Feel free to stop me anytime. So this I see as the single snake going up the staff. Okay, and this is, of course, this is the healing staff, which is in multiple traditions. This is a symbol of healing. So this was the staff of Moses, if you're from that tradition. This was also the staff of, what was his name? The great Greek Asclepius, the great Greek physician and healer from thousands of years ago. So this is where all medicine is one, and all healing ways are combined and potential to use. So just defining CAM modalities here. This is one definition, there's probably others. So typically you think of herbal. Yoga is a big one, getting a lot of literature now on uses of yoga in multiple chronic diseases. Down at the bottom, I think there are supplements, so there's a whole industry, of course, for that, acupuncture. Down at the lower right, energy medicine. You guys see that enough? Is it just right in here?
No,
it's okay. All right. And then up at the top right, the person doing the Zen meditation, which is kind of a classic mind-body thing. So,
what is energy medicine? What do you mean by that?
well, like Reiki, and if you've heard of Reiki, these are the chakra system. So these are other approaches to the human being other than Western anatomy, physiology. So these forms of healing, their theoretical basis is that we are an energy field, and that by shifting energy, you can have effects. It doesn't deny the anatomy, but it says there's another aspect to a human being that's not all anatomy and connected bones, bone to that, bone to that. A little more subtle things. So, you know, whether you buy into that or not, it doesn't matter. That's what their approach is. Okay. It's really the approach also behind some of the approaches in, like for instance, in acupuncture. And that, you know, when you put a needle in, if you're really tapping into an energy meridian, they call it, or a path of energy, and by doing that, you activate it. So you can put a needle here and, you know, affect your knee or something like this for people who practice. Okay, so I just left this in. You might have heard about different herbal remedies that have been used with diabetes, and these are three of the ones. This is all I'm going to say about herbs and stuff. But in terms of what's, you know, I'm really relying on what's been researched also, and what is their evidence base. Because a million things have been tried. The evidence base is developing for these three herbal products in particular, which I don't have a lot of experience with. Nopales is one that's from this continent, Mexico and North America. Nopales is the prickly pear cactus, and probably helps blood glucose control into diabetes because it's a soluble fiber and it helps to slow the absorption of glucose after a meal. At least that's the idea, although truthfully the literature, the studies that were done on it haven't really looked at mechanisms so much. Mind-body approaches that you may or may not have heard of, guided imagery, mindfulness-based stress reduction, meditation, biofeedback, breathing, relaxation, that sort of thing. And just so to see a show of hands, how many people here have done some sort of mind-body practice in the past or tried something? Just kind of curious what the audience is. Okay.
In a way, that's what Lamaze is.
Huh?
In a way, that's what Lamaze is.
Lamaze, yeah, that's true. Lamaze, you know, does utilize these and control breath and things like that, right? So, okay, very good. So, just to sort of, from my perspective, what are the basic principles of mind-body medicine, and how do they differ, say, from Western medicine, or how to think about it? So, the Western medicine, I think, modern medicine began when Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am," and shifted everything into the rational left brain, and we left behind all the thousands of years of healing experiences that people had, and just sort of said, you know what, if we can't prove it with the left brain, it ain't true. All right. So, mind-body assumption is that actually mind, body, and even spirit are interconnected and inseparable. In other words, integrated. And I like Jung's quote about this because Jung said the conscious mind is like a small cork floating on the sea of the unconscious. So if you think about that, there's a lot of mind under that cork. There's a lot of things going on in the unconscious that can affect our physiology. All right. All you got to think about is when you get scared in a movie, Jaws or something. Think about how your heart races and you start sweating. And when you think about that, then you cannot deny the mind-body connection. It's obvious, right? So this is my own personal slide. This is based on no data. This is an anecdotal disclaimer. Early in my career, I really figured out that in terms of bringing kids with diabetes into balance with their illness, there was about 10% of it that was really knowledge-based. Teaching how to give insulin is pretty straightforward. Teaching how to check a blood sugar. The difficult thing was always around with the psychosocial and the emotional. How do you integrate this disease that's constantly in your face into your overall way of living and be whole with diabetes? So be your most truest self you're most meant to be, and still have your diabetes, as opposed to diabetes out here, I'm fighting it, or some sort of struggle with it as an other, if you would. So, okay, so some of the principles that I use or think about in terms of how you might approach using mind-body practices or mind-body modalities with diabetes is, first of all, this whole person approach, that really it's about integrating self. And diabetes is an important part of the person with diabetes, is an important part of their self with a capital S, whole person, everything about that person. And yet still, it's just a part. So making it take its proper role in the person's mind and the person's way they see themselves with the diabetes. So some of the things that I've worked with and that I think about are, firstly, stress management, and I'll present to you some data on the role of stress with diabetes and how managing stress may help. Autonomy, that's a big one, you know, in terms of somebody, certainly my kids, my adolescents that I take care of, you know, they're going to make their own autonomous decisions what to do and how to manage their diabetes. And insofar as mind-body modalities can help one get in touch with one's internal wisdom of their body and of your own body, and get in touch with internal motivations for why one might want to do certain things, like test your blood sugar more often in order to know how to dose insulin, etc. That's a lot better to take that approach than to come in the clinic, have a doctor tell you to test more often, and go out and say, I'm going to listen to that doctor. He doesn't know what to be, etc. Okay, community and nature. Okay, so the role of community in healing and helping one become whole. I'll talk a little bit about that later. And the role of nature. And this is where my experience at diabetes camp came in, and my experiences outside of diabetes camp. I was at this camp in the 90s, and for 2 summers we did some wilderness trips. I hooked up with a wilderness guide from Alaska, and we went up to the Sierras up here in central northern California one year, and we went on a long backpack with a bunch of high school kids, type 1. And the second year we went on this canoeing trip way up far in northern California, which was really good. And we had a lot of fun. We worked with nature, we worked with teamwork, community, campfire storytelling. Sounds like diabetes camp, right? So I think the point I'm trying to say is that diabetes camp is a mind-body approach. It's a mind-body approach to diabetes for the kids that participate, and also I would say for the people who run the camp and deliver the care. So you can see in the lower picture, we circled around and told stories at the fire, and the kids in the canoe there shooting the rapids had a great, exhilarating time. And one of the things we did, there's a whole school of called wilderness education. You guys familiar with that, or the whole wilderness education movement? It's most common, most people know about it. You're taking like youth at risk or that out into the wilderness. But what we did on this trip, and the guide I was with, he and I shared with this philosophy, was really use nature, use wilderness as metaphor for people's lives. So, for instance, you can tell this story, but these guys in the canoe, shortly after I took this picture, I shouldn't laugh, but in retrospect, it's funny. At the time, it was like, oh my God. They basically didn't make the curve on this river very well, and they hit a rock and went over it. And they were fine, but it was kind of a scary moment. And we used the moment as a teaching moment. When do you hit the wall in your care with your diabetes? So after they got out of the water and were soaking wet, we pulled off to a bank, and just having had that experience really got them to really get serious and talk about, well, my goodness, when do I hit the wall? You know, when mom's telling me for the 50th time to check my blood sugar and I just don't want to, or, you know, I've been working and my A1C's still not at it, right? And I just want to throw it all up in the air, you know, that sort of thing. And kids really could get very serious about and very personal about those aspects of their lives and where they're struggling with their diabetes. So. All right, so what about life stress? Anybody here not stressed in this day and age? Show of hands. I tell the residents and interns I work with, oh my gosh, I remember as a kid, maybe life was stressful. That didn't seem as stressful. I don't know. You've got so much more incoming information now that you got to deal with, and so it's very important from an integrated health perspective that everybody has a way to manage their stress. Right? So, in particular, with respect to diabetes, there's obvious physiologic effects of stress in terms of the stress system response in our bodies, mostly through the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis raising cortisol and the autonomic nervous system raising adrenaline, epinephrine, norepinephrine. And both of these hormonal systems and the stress system overlap. HPA, the adrenal axis, the autonomic nervous system, both, when activated, will tend to raise blood sugar, raise blood pressure. Studies in adults have certainly shown that some people, not all, when stressed, will lead to emotional eating. This leads to risk for type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance. And there's newer data showing that chronic life stress actually activates inflammatory mediators. So these are cytokines, these are molecules of inflammation in our body that are hyped up when we're under chronic stress. All right, so there is a rational physiologic, biologic explanation for why stress affects our bodies badly in the physical realm, if you will. Okay, all right. So I think I already alluded to. Oh, these are some of the mind-body therapies that have been used in diabetes, for which is actually literature available. Not all of the literature, a lot of it's small, very small and controlled studies. But what I'm going to show you in a few moments are some of the a little bit more studied mind-body applications, and you can make your own judgment. This cat has been under some mind-body relaxation therapy. I think he's under mindlessness meditation here. I don't know. I'm going to focus mostly on guided imagery. That's what I personally do, and I'll show you some of my studies with kids. Relaxation, stress management, and mindfulness meditation have been used, and there's literature mostly on type 2 diabetes in adults, but I'll show that to you. So guided imagery, I said I'm going to show you my stuff first. What is guided imagery? It's basically being guided to have mental imagery that can ultimately lead to a healing experience, specific health outcome. Okay? We've shown clearly that you can lower stress hormone levels acutely with a brief guided imagery experience, and also that you can transform health behaviors, eating behaviors, and physical activity behaviors. And I'll show you that data from a pilot study we did. But before I do that, you can't explain what guided imagery is. You got to experience it. So I'm going to invite you now to take a 5-minute exercise, if you're so disposed. And if you're not, you can just sit there and watch me. But I invite you, I invite you to just relax for a moment, move your body, get comfortable, and I'll guide you in a stress reduction guided imagery exercise that you are welcome to use as often as you need except when you're sitting on the freeway behind the wheel of your car. All right, so basically what this is, it starts with just some focused breath work, and I'll talk us all through it. And then we'll invite an image to form in our mind's eye that represents a place that represents just comfort and relaxation for us. So just allow an image to come where you see yourself being comfortable and relaxed. Now, it may be a place you know already from your real life, or it may be something totally out of your imagination, so be open to whatever comes. All right, and if nothing comes, don't worry about it. Just breathe, and that's okay too. All right, because depending on your level of experience with these modalities, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. So I invite you, most people find this most useful if they close their eyes. You don't have to. If you don't want to close your eyes, just kind of let your vision dim in front of you and just, kind of lose your focus. And it always begins by just focusing on the breath. So following your breath in and out. In that fresh pine air, in the mountains, above the smog. Letting the breath go. You can imagine as you breathe in the fresh mountain air that it's bringing your body comfort and relaxation, and oxygen that your body needs to relax. Breathe out, let go of any stress or tension you're carrying right now. Just let it go out with the out breath. You may feel like you want to fidget just a bit in your chair, get more comfortable, and that's okay too. breaths, just look, kind of scan your body, see if there's anywhere in your body that's a little bit tense, where maybe you have some muscle tension. Just direct the breath there, direct the next in breath there. Imagine the breath going directly there, and kind of washing it away, washing it out, and then when you breathe out, take away that tension from that muscle area. Just doing a total body scan with the next few breaths, so you can touch mountain air, remember it where it needs to go. And if thoughts come in intruding, that's okay. Just with the next out breath, let them go. Tell them to come back to them after this session. Because that's how our minds work. We don't want to slow down. Just returning to the breath. Breathing in. Breathing out. Each breath will relax the breath before. Breathing in. Breathing out. More relaxed than before. Now with the next breath or two, invite an image to form in your mind's eye. A place where you see yourself just comfortable and relaxed. Just be very open and inviting. Let whatever image come in its own time, in its own way. And then just come forward and it's taking its time to stay with your breath, inviting posture. And sometimes these things come, and sometimes they don't. And if the image is there, just kind of take a look at it. See yourself where you are in this comfortable, relaxing place. Continue your breathing in and out, gently and slowly. Look at yourself in the image and just notice what you see. Look around, explore it a little bit with your vision and see what's there. Notice what the light is like, notice what time of day it might be. Notice what objects might be there, if there are other people, or if you're all alone there. But knowing that this place represents just comfort and relaxation for you. Notice if there are any sounds in the image. Any smells, perhaps. Smell of flowers, or if you're at the beach, there's a smell of salt there. Whatever, your image is your own image. Just notice what you smell. Notice any tactile sensation, or the temperature of the image. Is there a breeze? The next breath, as you see yourself in this image, just notice how you feel inside this relaxed, comfortable place. Notice the degree of comfort and relaxation you feel right now. And allow yourself to really feel it. Really relax. This image with the breath to a place of comfort, a little more comfortable before. Now, without my voice, just spend a few breaths there, continuing to breathe in, meaning the image, enjoying it for a few seconds. With your next couple breaths, for the sake of time, you're going to let the image fade away gently, knowing that you can call it back anytime you want it. When you're at home, if you're at work, and you just need a quick break from the stressors of the day, you just can't check one more email. Just kind of relax for a few moments. You can always invite this image back and go there for a few moments, or just go to your breath. For yourself. How slowly with each breath, notice yourself. Feel the chair against you. Notice the temperature of the screen, the sound of the air conditioning. Returning from your image into this space and time. When you're ready, gently allow your eyes to open. Back to the room. So if you've never done that before, the experience can be different, but just a show of hands, how many people feel like they felt more relaxed by the end than they did at the beginning? It's kind of a majority. How many felt less relaxed at the end than they did at the beginning? Okay. It's an unusual thing, but there actually are a few minority of people who actually have a bit of an anxiety reaction at the idea of relaxing. And so it's something that when I'm working with people, I'm certainly prepared for that event, although it doesn't happen that often. Just a show of hands, did anybody experience an image where they were actually in the image of relaxation? I don't have to share what it was, but just if you actually saw yourself in the image came forward. Nope. Anyone want to share their experience? You certainly can take another minute or
Yes,
two.
I was at the beach where the more watching the dolphins.
Did the dolphins have anything to say to you?
No.
Next time you go, you might ask.
I was up in this place in the blue sky, the birds were singing, the soft breezes, the light shining through the pines.
Is that a place you've been before? Was the place you were in your image a particular physical place where you've been, or was it more of a general? I'm just curious.
General.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Is there one other person who wanted to share?
I was in Belize,
Belize.
looking at the water sunset.
Sunset on the water.
We have a cabin in the mountains near Yellowstone, and sitting on the porch and just watching the trees and listening to the birds and the squirrels and the chipmunks. And my soul gets up there, so that's an easy place to go back to.
Anyone experience something really surprising for them to share, like something that, whoa, yeah.
My body was completely relaxed, and but I still heard myself talking to myself in my head. But I felt great, and it felt relaxing, but I could still hear myself talking in my head.
What were you saying?
I was trying to convince myself to envision myself on my couch at home. That's my comfort spot. That's where I just lay there and I just don't do anything. And there's no radio, there's no TV, there's no nothing. I just lay there. But I couldn't get my brain to stop telling myself to do that.
So did you not get any image?
No, I couldn't.
Okay,
get
so
the
that's
image.
all right. Don't be frustrated. See, this is where the left brain often is sometimes our worst enemy. That we have to just tell it
Yeah.
and let it go out. Like I said, some people do the out breath. Some people actually. I had one guy who I taught a workshop in guided imagery, and he would have you the way he would deal with that. He would have you bring an image of that talking part of you to you and see it in front of you, and then take a broom and whisk it away, and then see where you are after that. So you can try that.
All right.
So, yeah.
Is this kind of like resource installation with EMDR therapy?
I don't know. I've experienced EMDR once as a subject, but I don't know much about the theory, so I can't.
So a lot of
can't
times
address
they'll
it.
do resource installation where you'll have a calming place, you'll have a comforter, you'll have a protector, and then you tap it in with this the concept of EMDR, but it's a lot like this.
Okay. So yeah, it sounds like similar, maybe a little bit different in the mechanism where they get to it, but tapping into inner resources, definitely. Yeah. Okay, now that we're all relaxed, I'll show you some data. Okay, this was a pilot study I did, which the manuscript is in review right now. Still waiting to hear from that journal. They're delayed. Anyway, so this was a study where we were looking to prevent type 2 diabetes in a very at-risk population, which are overweight and obese, Latino adolescents. This is the